I don't think so. I know Kaylee wanted me to bring up the body count conversation.
Should we talk about body count? Do you want to talk about body count?
I mean, like, I don't, like, I mean, I feel like it's just a conversation that seems to happen, like, relentlessly at the moment.
Right,
like,
let's do that here. We've got a little bit of time. Let's do that here. Go on. What are your...
I mean, as you can imagine, I don't care. Like, I just think it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, I don't care. I definitely wouldn't care how many partners a partner of mine had slept with. But I know that, like, it definitely seems to be something that men have more of a problem with than women. But that might be wrong, because I obviously only know myself, and I know I don't have a problem with it. I think sometimes, even maybe with my friends, I might go, oh no, I don't care either, because they probably might be nervous about what I might have to say if they told me they did care. But I think there's more judgment. So, you know, I think maybe women might be like, maybe might feel uncomfortable about it. I think there's more judgment from men for sure when it comes to...
I think that men have a standard. Different men have different standards when it comes to body count. I'm going to prefix this with monogamous men. Because I think men who are on the open side, I don't think they care.
No, I don't think you can.
I don't think they care. Like, how could you?
You can only sleep with one man a week.
That's it. Well, you know, like I said, men care at different varying degrees, but if they're considering a girl long term, they do care. They do care.
But why?
Why do men care? This age-old question.
I feel like in my experience, if I keep asking a man, but why,
Yep.
it gets to a point where there's just no answer. So we'll see how we go.
We'll see how he goes. Maybe I can get further. Maybe I can get to 7 whys instead of just 3.
Like an annoying child. But why?
But why? Are we there yet? Why do men care? Okay. Men see sexual intimacy with women as the prize. So when they're into a woman, he's obviously open to getting to know who she is. Mm-hmm. But the reason 9 times out of 10 a guy starts pursuing a woman is because he is physically attracted to her, right? If sexual intimacy is a prize, the more people who have got the prize, the less valuable it's seen in his eyes. That's the truth. That's how men see it.
So why ask?
Oh, I don't think men should ask.
Okay.
I don't think you should ask. I don't think there's any right answer for both genders. I think stereotypically, unless a guy doesn't care, unless a girl doesn't care, because, you know, it comes down to, okay, so, you know, earlier I said, I kind of joked about 2 people being in an open relationship, but when they start having a family, they're monogamous, right? And I kind of joked, he better take that paternity test. That is a very big reason, because for men, and the thing is, like I said, this is one of the things I'm generally quite liberal on myself, but I recognize I'm an exception to the rule. For men, sexual fidelity is incredibly important. And the more partners that someone has had, the more likely infidelity is likely to occur. Do you have something to say about that?
Well, I mean, I don't equate the two.
Well, statistically, that is true. But I think... You know how I said about how... you know how you said emotional time is what you're territorial over? Men are territorial over sexual time. Because if I ask you, okay, why emotional time? Why are you territorial over that? I'm going to play the why game with you now.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. I don't even know if I've ever thought about what I think, you know, I just recognise that's where my jealousy peaks.
Yep.
I think it's because, and to be fair, in the same way, not just a partner, like I'm quite territorial with my best friends in the same, you know what I mean? Just like my friendships, in that if like one of them has told the other ones, like someone else something that they haven't told me, I'm like, but why, you know?
And I
don't know what it is. I mean, I couldn't tell you why that is. It's just, that's absolutely what piques my jealousy. I don't know if it's like because I'm an only child, so I like fiercely just hold those closest to me like very dear, and I don't like the thought that like things are happening. Maybe it's like FOMO. I don't know.
Because one thing I kind of say is that, you know, I think men and women show their investment differently with each other. Mm-hmm. I think men show their investment through their emotional time. I think women show their investment through their sexual time. So if I say, okay, who does this guy in this scenario care about more? The girl who he spends a weekend with, they go on walks, they read books together, they don't have sex, but they spend a lot of time together, have a lot of deep, intimate talks. Or the girl that he goes around her house at 8 p.m. Friday night, that have sex, and then he leaves the following morning. Who do you think the guy cares about more?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily know that it's even a topic of care. They just seem like two completely different relationship setups to me.
Very true.
Because one sounds like they're in a relationship, although I don't like that they went away for the weekend and didn't have sex. Like, that would be a discussion I'd be wanting to have with them. But, because I'd be like, is everything okay? You're just choosing to make, is that just a choice, or is something up? But, and the other thing just sounds like a casual thing, which sounds fine to me. So
they're both fine.
Yeah.
But in that scenario, generally, the guy's investing in the first one more because, you know, just because a guy has sex with a girl doesn't mean that he's necessarily cares about her.
And the second scenario sounds a bit earlier on in maybe a relationship. You know what I mean? You might just be like, because it can it might lead into the weekend away with walks and
sure, or it could just be like a friends with benefits thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know? Or I guess the question I should ask is, you know, maybe who's he taking more seriously? But yeah, so I think because. And I know, you tell me what you think. I think because, well, equivocantly, if we say for the woman, who is she more investing in or interested in more? The guy who she spends the weekend with, nothing sexual happens because she doesn't have sex with, or like nothing sexual happens, but maybe they spend some time together, coffee, walks, whatever. Or the guy who she sees him Friday night, they spend the night together, they have sex and stuff, and then she leaves the following morning. Mm-hmm. Who would you think that she's more romantically interested in?
I mean, I've seen my best friend do both because she's not really been sure what works more in terms of sort of potentially moving into a long-term relationship. So I don't know that I would know, again, because like I'm basing off of those closest to me.
Yes.
And I know that for a while, you know, she very early on in situations would sleep with people and is now choosing to wait a bit longer, thinking that might mean that.
I agree.
But whereas I don't think it should matter. That's not to say it doesn't. I don't think it should.
Yeah.
For me, like anyone even that I've been in like relationships with, like I can't remember a time when I didn't sleep with someone on a first date, because that's such an important thing to me that I'm kind of like, if we've got a good chat, I'm going to need to know about that too.
Yeah.
So, you know, but that, you know, and it's not to say that it doesn't matter to a lot of people. I just don't think it should. I don't think it should be a deal breaker if someone slept with you on a first date. But when you were saying earlier about the past sexual partners versus sexual fidelity thing.
Yeah.
See, in my experience, I also know people who sort of went through a phase where they were very sexually open, sexually explorative, to like go out and sleep with a lot of people. And because of that, feel very ready and comfortable with knowing that they might then be with one person and not feeling like they have missed out on anything. Which I think for both genders, I don't, you know, or not, but I don't necessarily think that's specific to women. I think maybe I'm sure men might feel like that too.
I think so. I think men enjoy sexual variety a lot of the time. Yeah, the reason I say that, and I think this is relating back to when you were saying you're jealous over your you get more territorial over emotional time, is because I think that is what is. Not that it's... I think that is what is more important of investment for women generally. Whereas for guys, it's the sex. So, like, for example, the equivalent of a girl putting a guy in the friend zone, she's getting all the emotional attention of the boyfriend experience, without having any of the physical intimacy. Whereas the equivalent is the girl being in the friends of benefit zone with a guy. He's getting all the sexual benefits as if she's a girlfriend, but he's not giving any of the emotional commitment or the emotional stability and investment. So relating that back to why does body count matter is because, or at least why it matters to guys, is because guys are more sexually territorial generally over women. And I think historically, and this doesn't just go for human beings, but for, almost 99% of other mammals as well, historically it's been to ensure paternity. Because we don't know if the baby's ours. The baby doesn't come out of us. It comes out of you, right? So it's kind of like, we didn't have DNA tests. Do you know what I mean? In Animal Kingdom. So a lot of that is to ensure, it's like, I say this in the Lion Kingdom, the first thing, you have one male lion to several lionesses for a pride. If a new male lion fights and beats that male lion, the first thing he does is kill the cubs. He either kills them or he ostracizes them out of the pride. And the reason he does that is because as the male, he's like, okay, well, if I'm putting my life on the line to protect this pride, best believe I'm only doing it for my own cubs. So I think for male, that is very much wide in males in general. And even though we have DNA tests and we can do all that, our evolutionary biology hasn't caught up with our technology yet. So that's why for guys, if they're thinking, because I read this study, this was about a month ago, when they did DNA tests, and this was in the States, so I don't know if it's like this here, but we always assume it mirrors us, right? A guy's worst nightmare is to marry, invest in a woman, have kids with her, and then find out the kids aren't his. That is a man's worst nightmare.
Right.
This DNA test, from the DNA test they did in the States, 30% came back negative, which means out of the test that they did, 30% of men were raising kids that weren't theirs. And because of that being the guy's worst nightmare, that's why it's important, sexual fidelity and sexual loyalty. You can tell me what you think, but I've heard a woman's worst nightmare is, aside from the abuse, obviously, let's say you choose a capable man, is, at least historically, has been a man to leave her for a younger woman, a younger, more attractive, more fertile woman. That's why in marriage, if the divorce ever happened, he was paying her alimony. It was him paying to fund her lifestyle, because it's kind of like, you don't get my best years as a fertile, attractive woman for then you to just leave me for someone else. You have to pay for that. So that's why, like I said, I think men and women have different fears, but it's that fear in men, which is why body count matters if he's considering her long term and if he's monogamous. Why? What are your thoughts? I've said a lot. Does that make sense or not really?
My best way to I sort of said it already. I think my best way to sum it up is I understand that it does matter to people. I just don't think it should be. I definitely don't think, as I've mentioned already, that sexual past should be equated with sexual fidelity, because I think people are absolutely capable with having a very open, fluid sexual past and then being in a monogamous relationship and being very, very committed and very monogamous within that relationship.
Which they are, of course. I'm not saying if someone's had many partners, they can't be in a committed relationship. I'm just, and this goes for men and women. The more sexual partners a man has had, the more likely he is to cheat, and the same goes for a woman as well. That's like the case for people in general.
Which, I think is interesting, and I don't know that I would have necessarily put that in place. I think because of, I always think if someone sort of lived a very varied sexual past, they might feel ready to commit and not need to sort of look elsewhere anymore. But it's definitely a conversation that comes up, within like the non-monogamous space, is all of the questions about, what if someone oversteps this boundary, or what if this, that, or the other? And I'm like, you're not asking me anything that a monogamous person can't do,
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And in fact, it should, like, I completely agree with you. It should be an open discussion. And yeah, like the times we live in, I think having more, a guest I had on, he said he believes monogamy is outdated, and I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with him.
I think it just needs to be an open conversation, because I think that it absolutely works for some people.
Yeah, of course.
And it will always continue to work for some people. And my friends who are in very happy monogamous relationships are very happy with my lifestyle choices. And the people I know who are not in happy monogamous, who are in unhappy monogamous relationships have the issue.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. You've been amazing. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. Where can we find you? And make sure you check out her podcast. She's going to tell you right now. Go on.
So my social media is at Peach Coyne, because Peach is my nickname. We didn't go into that, which is fine. No. So it's Peach and surname is Coyne, and the podcast is called Sex on the Peach.
Sex on the Peach.
It is available already on all podcast platforms, but on Instagram it is Sex on the Peach Cast.
Awesome.
So you can find me on social media.
Thank you so much. Well, Maria, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you for giving us your energy this afternoon. And guys, make sure you check out all her socials. Make sure you have a listen to Sex on the Peach. If you listen enough, she's going to invite me on. She hasn't said that, but I'm going to ask her to. But thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Pow.